call this meeting to order. George, will you take roll?
Sure. Colonel Evans?
Hold on.
Mr. Gozen?
Here.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Here.
Mr. Miko?
Here.
Mr. Naso?
Here.
All
Stand for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know what that response. As part of the board meeting, we talk about our district goals. We have 3 goals. The first one is student achievement, and that reflects on athletics, academics, and art. And then our second goal is financial prudence, and our third goal is community involvement, engagement involvement. All the decisions we make on these at our board meetings and all the items on this agenda reflect those 3 goals. And it's important that we balance student achievement against financial prudence to make sure that we don't outstrip our means and deliver the best education and experience to our students with the tax dollars that are so graciously provided us. And then community involvement, we've utilized the community in a lot of ways, contributions, participation in the PTA, all kinds of areas where they're an enormous help, whether it's we ask them consulting questions, all kinds of stuff. So it's really a community event, this education process, and we're very proud of it. With that, we'll move on to recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Naso. We have a number of recognitions that tie right into that goal of academic achievement and growth, with various recognitions in academics and athletics as well as community engagement. And we will kick it off with that with Miss Laura Housum, our past PTA. Is the transition official yet? Saturday. Okay. Saturday. Still PTA Council President for presentation of the volunteer hours for this school year. Laura?
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. As Mr. Ryba said, I'm here to present our volunteer hours for the school year, the 2016-2017 school year. As you know, Council PTA is made up of 9 units, from our preschool units up to our high school unit. This year, our total hours were 13,719 given back to our students and our families. I want to thank you guys so much for allowing us to work in the buildings. We really appreciate it. And as Mr. Ryba says, this is my last official act as Council PTA President. I will be turning the gavel over to Carrie Dewis this coming Saturday. So that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The drill, you knew. Have a good one.
Laura, you did have one thing backwards. You thanked us for letting you in the building. We want to thank you for being in the building. So thank you very much, and your entire team. It's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next, I'd like to bring up Strongsville High School Assistant Principal, Mr. Brian Tamino, for recognizing our 2016-17 Academic Challenge team. Brian?
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Ryba, Mrs. Palco, and Board of Education. It's with great pleasure that I'm here tonight to introduce my friend and soon-to-be retired colleague, Mr. Michael Sack, to introduce to you our Academic Challenge team. In doing a little bit of research, this is a group that's near and dear to me. I've been involved with it for many years during my tenure at Strongsville. We've been able to trace it back to the early 1980s when Denise Youngblood, for those of you who remember her, was the advisor. And we've had a great success in the program. We had a win this year, so we were very excited about that. And at this time, I would like Mr. Sack to join us at the podium. And students, why don't you come up with him as well so he can introduce all of you. So this is Mr. Sack, soon to be retired social studies teacher and academic challenge advisor.
Thank you. this was an extraordinary team this year. They won their round, and we were in the money, the top 10 in the entire region for which this television program covers. Get awarded money. So we stayed in the competition for the top 10 all the way till the end. And actually, we finished 11th, which really was not all that cool, but it's all right. We did well. We amassed 525 points, and we faced Cleveland Heights, which they had a good team, but Shaker Heights had an even better team. And I think it's a testament not just to their academic skills, but also to their competitive skills. Toward the last round, we were tied or a little bit behind, and they really came up. They came up big. They answered, I think, 9 of the last 10 questions. They did a super job. So I want to thank them, and I also want to say one more thing. A little later in the year, we entered the state quiz bowl tournament, and we finished 3rd in our round. Actually 2nd because the first 2 teams tied. So. And they did a really good job there too. And they won or finished 2nd in their white division. So they did very well. And I guess if you looked at it from a state standpoint, probably around 6th or 7th in the state. So we did really well, and they did a super job. So I would like to recognize them. We tried to pick a captain to lead the team, and all 3 of these guys are so strong. So we decided they're all just co-captains. Okay. So first, Daniel Morris. He's a senior.
Congratulations.
Dan, you've been here before.
Nice job.
Congratulations. Good luck with you.
And Siraj Sharinjan.
Good to see you again.
Yep. Nice to see you.
Nice work. That's it.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
And then Harold Morton, who's also a senior. By the way, Siraj will be back next year, I hope, to captain the next year's team.
Congratulations.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
Thank you for representing us so well.
Finally, I'd like to recognize the 2 alternates that we had. They're not here tonight, Charles Rogowski and Alyssa Reinhardt, both of whom did a great job. And Charles actually was the 4th member of the Quiz Bowl state tournament we were in, because we had to have 4 on a team. And Alyssa, she was a really good, we had her just in case, and she proved to be really, really valuable, especially in the practice rounds. She put these guys to the test. So thank you very much, and that's my report for the evening. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Tomino. And Mr. Sack, thank you not only for your work with our academic challenge team, but all your years of service to our district. You will be greatly missed.
Thanks. This is my last day.
Going out a winner.
That's right. Next up, we have Strongsville High School Principal, Mr. Mark Smithberger, for our News Channel 5 Best of Class.
Mr. Ryba, Mr. Pelko, members of the school board, thank you for having me this evening. I certainly appreciate you being here tonight. This is one of my 2 favorite board meetings of the year. And yes, I have favorite board meetings. My first, but they're equally, I like the April meeting where we honor all the DECA students and all those students who get National Merit Society or National Merit Scholars. I like tonight because, as you can see, we have a full house tonight of our high school students who've done amazing things. We're really proud of all the accomplishments of our students here this evening. And I think as you see their accomplishments and hear what they've done, you'll see that we've really worked hard to make sure we are excellent in the arts, the academics, and the athletics. So tonight I have the privilege of introducing the Channel 5 Best in Class. This goes to the top male and female student of the senior class based on GPA. So if I could have Zach and Sam come to the stage or come up here with me, I'd appreciate it. Why are you in remote control? There we go. Back in business.
We're going to bill you for that.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I broke it. I will introduce Zach first because he's the first one on my list here. I'll give you kind of his bio. Zach graduated with a GPA of 4.81. That is the highest GPA of any male in the senior class. His ACT score ranked him in the top 1% of the country. Zach is a national merit finalist. Zach was a captain of the lacrosse team. He was a member of multiple honor societies at Strongsville High School. He is an advanced placement scholar with distinction. He won every academic excellent award you can win by a school year. He has attended the Greater Cleveland Conference Leadership Day. He is an active member of Leadership Academy. He volunteers as a tutor at both the high school and the middle school. He's an active participant in Rush for a Cause. He works at Pine Brook Golf Course. He is a lacrosse referee. He also assists with youth lacrosse coaching and provides private lacrosse lessons. And he also, this summer, began a new skills session program for all ages 3 nights a week. He'll be attending The Ohio State University, majoring in actuarial sciences, and he's been awarded numerous local and university scholarships at Ohio State. Zach Delicio.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Our resident genius.
So proud of you. Great job.
And our female GPA of the highest in the class of 17 is Samantha Stelnicki. Her GPA was 4.83, and she actually had the highest GPA in the entire senior class. Her ACT score, yes, absolutely. Her ACT score ranked in the top 1% nationally as well. She's a member of Leadership Academy. She is the president of Junior Optimist Club. She is the captain of the tennis team, member of multiple honor societies of the high school, the National Honor Society secretary, the vice president of Spanish National Honor Society, has also won every academic award you can win at the high school, is currently completing a summer internship with the Effective Leadership Academy. She is also on the alumni board of the Effective Leadership Academy. She will be attending The Ohio State University, majoring in economics, and she was also awarded local and university scholarships as well. Samantha Stelnicki.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. One year property.
Well, Mr. Smithberger, now we know clearly why they're best in class. That is just phenomenal what those two students, young men and young women, have done. We're very proud of the efforts that you have done. And Zach, my son, just started taking lacrosse, or playing lacrosse, so now I know a guy I can call to before you go to The Ohio State University, right? All right, well, congratulations to both of you. You've made us both very proud, and obviously we're going to be hearing more about the bright futures coming forward for both of you. Moving on, our next presenter is our very own Vice President, Mr. Richard Micko, for our National Pro Start Invitational Culinary Team.
So, thank you, Cameron, fellow board members, Mrs. Palco, Mr. Anagnostou. It brings me a lot of pride, and it is my pleasure to recognize two young men tonight that were on the national, I think it's international because Guam competed, the National Pro Start Competition 2017 champion winners. I have a audio or a video aid to help set the stage. So that, if you don't know, is a butane burner. And if you've ever watched Top Chef before or any of the other kinds of competitions, they have various competitions, and all those Top Chef ones, you get a full kitchen. You get a full host of ingredients, etc. The National Pro Start competition, you get 2 butane burners. So what I'd like you to do is think about what you would make if you had a butane burner. I would boil water, and I would ruin s'mores, and that would be about as far as I could get with a butane burner. Our Polaris Career Center team, for appetizers, had seared foie gras, Parmesan polenta, warm corn custard, charred corn, kale and frizzy apple salad, and blackberry sauce. Their entree was Ohio lamb loin with, I hope I'm saying it right, harissa and pistachio herb crust, double carrot puree, Savoy cabbage with celery root and lamb bacon, sheep milk cheese croquette with panko, almond and onion seed. And you have to have dessert, and so dessert was salted caramel mousse, hazelnut praline, caramel, marshmallow meringue, raspberry foam, and vanilla bean ice cream. And this was all done with no electricity, no gas, 2 butane burners. It goes without saying how proud we are of their accomplishments. We're gonna cheat and let YouTube help us. And this is just 2 minutes long.
Welcome to the 2017 National Pro Start Invitational, right here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina.
We're going to skip along because we really don't care about South Carolina. But like I said, Guam came in second place.
Very nice.
I'm a little bit in shock. I'm really excited, and I'm really proud of us as a team. We worked really hard for this.
Pro Start Pro is awesome opportunity for scholarships and to further their career.
Pro Start has just opened my mind to the possibilities of the type of career I could have and all the things that I can accomplish.
One of us would be here about Chef Up. He helps us get where we are today. He's helped us with both of our championships.
Pro Start has a great introduction to the culinary industry.
Pro Start helped me go to college. Pro Start's just been an overall great experience. Like, it's a life changer.
And so it brings me great pride. I want to recognize some of Brandon and Chris's co-students from other schools. Polaris Career, whoops. Polaris has multiple schools that are part of it. The 2017 National Championship team included Ryan Corrales from Berea Mid-Park, included Cheyenne Yates from North Olmsted, and included Teresa Napier from North Olmsted. But the people we're here to recognize are Chris Ritz and Brandon Schifferly, who are part of the 2017 National Championship. It brings me a lot of pride. I say this a lot, that when these students do well and we recognize them, they're letting the younger students who are watching know what they can aspire to and what they can accomplish when they grow up. Last year, I was proud to congratulate Chris. He was a junior last year on that national championship team. He's a senior now, and I'm so proud that that Brandon, who is now a junior, has joined him, and we now in Strongsville have 2 members of the national championship team. Polaris Career Center, I say, is learning in action. Hopefully the video gave you a little bit of idea of what the kinds of things you do at Polaris, but they're well-rounded boys. They're going to college. Chris, you're going to? Culinary Institute of America with lots of scholarships. That's part of that Pro Start program. So we're very proud of them. We're proud of their families for letting them come to Strongsville and encouraging them to go to Polaris. So I congratulate them again, and we're very proud of you. And Brandon, we look forward to next year. Don't run away. Congratulations, please.
Congratulations on the hard work. Congratulations on the hard work.
Good luck. Congratulations, Chris and Brandon. I've got to say, we were at an event, Mr. Micko and I were at an event at Polaris a few months ago and got to eat the food that I think actually the dessert that they made. It was phenomenal. So very proud of those young men and representing our district at Polaris. Next, we have Mr. Andy Jawan, Athletic Director at the high school, to share some of our accolades this spring sports season. Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Ryba, Mrs. Pelko, Mr. Anagnostou, and members of the school board for this opportunity to be here this evening to recognize our Division I state track and field qualifiers. It was a great way to end an outstanding athletic season in Columbus this past spring, with both our track and baseball teams representing us in Columbus. And we'll meet our baseball team at the July meeting. But there's no better way to end a school year than down at Jesse Owens Stadium. It's one of the most well-run and best high school, not only invitational or state championship, but just meet and probably in the country. It really gives our students an outstanding opportunity to experience a meet at that level in a collegiate atmosphere. And every year it gets better and better with our representation and the results the Mustangs bring home. So to tell us more about the state track and field team, I'm going to bring up our assistant girls coach, Mr. Tim Reese, and our head boys coach, Mr. Chris Koval, to talk about our accomplishments and introduce us to our state track and field qualifiers. Coaches?
How about this? Ladies, come on up. Whoever's here. How about that? You guys want to stand over here? I know. That way then when I say your name, you can just step forward. Be like, that's me. Unfortunately, everyone couldn't make it. So Superintendent Ryba, Board President Naso, members of the Strongsville City School Board, administrators, parents, student athletes. It's a great pleasure that I have to stand here tonight, recognize the accomplishments of these talented young ladies. They are bright, energetic, barrier breaker female athletes from Strongsville High School. The ladies that stand before you tonight represent a contingent of track and field athletes that have brought a positive light to the Strongsville track and field program over the last several years. The girls standing here, before you tonight, especially the seniors, have been a part of a track team that has shattered 18 school records, won 3 straight conference championships, the last 2 in the ultra-competitive GCC, 2 district championships, a district runner-up, a regional championship, and a regional runner-up. And this year, a state champion again in the high jump. Numerous podium award winners at both the regional and state meets, and 3 top 13 performances at the state championship track meet this year. This accomplishment could not be undertaken without the incredible commitment from the student athletes, parents, and coaches. John wrote this, so he thanked me. And he thanked Dawn, and he thanked Chris Koval, and he thanked Dan Martin for all their help with everything that goes on with track and field. So, the last several years, the continuation to make it possible has been brought to you by a number of kids who have been in the track program over the last 5 or 6 years. So for us to be at this point now, just keeps building and building and building. So I'm going to talk about everyone, even the kids that aren't here. But I got to start with Erin. Erin Severs is a sophomore, state qualifier this year in the pole vault. She was one of only 3 girls at the state track meet in the pole vault who were not seniors. 2 sophomores, 1 freshman. Very rare to see underclassmen, involved in that event at the state championship meet, but great job. Erin bested her jumps this year from last year by 2 feet. So now, that's a tough one to follow up on, you know what I'm saying? But hopefully that's how it rolls. Excellent job. Sky's the limit. Thank you. Lindsay Gunlaw. Lindsay this year is a qualifier for the 2nd time, running in the 4x400 meter relay. First time was as a sophomore. Last year she had a tough road to hoe, and we didn't get to the places that she wanted to get to. However, she was not to be denied this year as a senior, and set her sights on a goal of taking 4 4 kids with her to the state championship meet this year, competing the 4x4. And awesome job. Thank you. Mackenzie Green is not here. Mackenzie qualified the state meet in the 100-meter hurdles, and it seemed to me that every time she ran the race during the course of the year, she was breaking her own school record, which happened amazingly 4 times. So at this point, I would say to you, I'm looking forward to a few more broken records from Mackenzie next year in the race. So Kelly McCafferty also isn't here today. Kelly's a 2-time state qualifier, also in the 4x4 with Lindsay and a few of these other girls that are standing here with me. Kelly was also an accomplished high jumper this year for us and narrowly missed out making the state championship meet in the high jump. So, good job, Kelly. Madeline Kreller. Madeline is a 3-time state qualifier. Madeline has been this year part of, or she was a part of, the 4x100 and 4x200 team that was on the podium as she was a sophomore and a junior. This year, she's a state qualifier in the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, and in the 4x400-meter relay. Madeline did qualify for the finals in the 200 this year and finished 6th place. Nice job, Madeline. Bethany DeLuve. Bethany is also a 3-time state qualifier and also has been part of 4x200-meter team that was on the podium for 2 consecutive years and a 3-time member of the state qualifying 4x400-meter relay team. In addition, Bethany this year qualified to the state finals in back-to-back years in the 400-meter dash, and this year finished in 8th place. Great job, Bethany. And Amelia is not here today. She's actually in Finland visiting her grandparents. Amelia last year in the high jump was a 4th place finisher and was pretty impressive for only being a freshman. This year she won every event we entered. So whatever high jump event she was in, she won. She had a very tough job this year following 3-time state champ Cassie Martin. I mean, actually 6 times, 3 indoors and 3 outdoors. Cassie was her friend. So Amelia trying to, do those things was hard. However, the emotion of following, Cassie to keep the streak alive of state championships, we're at the state championship meet and she's just shaking. I'm like, slow down. Just do what you do. And this year, Amelia was lucky. She had a chance to break Cassie's school record. She did. She was also indoor state champ this year and outdoor state champ this year. So currently, no one has won a girls' state championship in the state of Ohio that wasn't from Strongsville since March of 2014. So, Amelia is Strongsville's 4th straight girls outdoor state champion, so I guess the emotions weren't as bad as I thought. Thanks to everyone. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Might as well go through first, right? Yeah. Thank you for the hard work. Thanks for the congratulations. Thank you for the hard work. Congratulations. Thank you for the hard work.
Of course you are.
How are you?
Good job. Congratulations. Awesome. We'll see you again. Congratulations. Thank you for all your hard work.
Come on up, guys. This is right up Riley's alley. He loves public acknowledgement. I wish I would have went first because that's kind of hard to follow. And congratulations to the girls. It's been fun to be a little bit a part of that over the past couple of years. Thank you to the Board of Education, Mr. Ryba, Mrs. Pelko. I appreciate you taking the time to recognize these guys and young ladies and academic students. Very impressive. Zach and Sam, that's excellent. When you start a season off in January, you start to put puzzle pieces together, and long story short, I could have never imagined going to the outdoor state championship with 6 guys and doing as well as we did, having only taken 1 or 2 guys the previous year. It's nice to realize that things are starting to build a little bit. I'm going to talk again about each of the guys, even though some of them aren't here. Timing is everything. I just ran off the football field and sprinted over here, and it started to rain, so that's perfect. I'm dry, they're wet, and I get to talk about these guys. And so some of them are over there still practicing, so I'm going to talk about them because I believe they deserve it. So Riley, step forward. State qualifier in the 4x1 and the 4x4 relays. As the anchor leg of the 4x4, I tell this story all the time because it was so exciting to watch. Usually you don't put a young kid at that number 4 spot because you want someone with experience and know what they're doing to run that and be able to strategize. But one time I played around with it, put him at number 4, and he did something that I've never seen a runner do. And he got to about the 200, which I always tell him not to do, but he did it anyways. Gets to the 200 mark, puts his head down, drops the hammer, and beat everyone that was on the track at that time. And it really made the 4x4 an exciting race to watch all year. Riley was also second in the conference and a regional qualifier in the Open 4. He was second in the conference in the 200-meter dash as well. He racked up like 120 points this season, which to get over 100 in track and field is pretty impressive. And he's also a scholar athlete. So congratulations, Riley. Joe is not here. Joe Gillette, he's a state qualifier in the 4x1. He was a member of that team. He also high jumped 6'3", pole vaulted 10 foot. He only did that one time, kind of utility, put him wherever I needed him, and he would do it. Long jumped 20 feet, 7.5 inches. That happened near the end of the year. We kind of tried some other things with him, and sure enough, he figured out he could long jump too. He also ran in the 400. He was a part of the 4x4 team earlier in the year and was an alternate later on because he did so many other things. He scored over 120 points this season, and he was also a scholar athlete, so congratulations to Joe. Jack, step forward. Jack Malcheski is state qualifier in the 4x1 and the 4x4. He ran the 200-meter dash as a regional qualifier. Jack is the only member of the team this year to run in 4 events at the district that all qualified to the region, which is pretty impressive as a sophomore. Jack also scored over 110 points this season. He is a scholar athlete, but he's not done. He has decided to continue his season competing with the Strongsville Track Club, where he qualified just recently to the region in 4 events. He qualified in the Open 1, the Open 2, the Open 4, and the Open 8. That's going to be this weekend in Lima, Ohio. And I don't think he's going to be able to run all 4 of those because he won't be able to walk afterwards. But we'll pick and choose, and we'll see how things go. But congratulations to Jack. And I'm not done with those 3 guys because all 3 of them, Joe, Jack, and Riley, were members of the 4x2 relay team that was conference champion, the district champion, 4x2, and regional finalist. And we won't talk about what happened to probably our best relay that we had, but in the regional finals, they misfired and ran out, and that happens sometimes. But still qualified in the 4x1. Those 3 guys were also a part of the 4x1. Conference championship team, district runner-up, and they were 4th in the region, which gave them their berth to the state. And then also they were members of the 4x4 relay that was conference champ, district champ, and regional 4th place, which gave them their state berth. So that's pretty impressive. And did I mention all 3 were sophomores, so I'm really excited about that. Next guy that's not here, Taylor Griffin. He's over at the football field right now. State qualifier in the 4x1. He spent most of his season healing from a hamstring injury, but managed each week to give me enough to run in the 4x1, so we didn't have to move other guys around, and was able to advance each week and each meet and made it to the state championship. And Taylor is also a scholar athlete, so congratulations to Taylor Griffin. All right, Mo. Step forward, Mo. Mo is state qualifier in the 110-meter hurdles and the 4x4. Mo finished last season. He was 4th place in the conference meet and then ended his season at the district as a freshman, also sophomore. He earned for us this year, for our team, he earned most improved, because he went from finishing at the district meet and 5th or 6th place, somewhere in there, and won just about every hurdle race he competed in this year, and that includes conference champion, district champion, regional champion, qualified to the state meet, and just missed finals, was 10th in the state, so didn't qualify to finals. So next year I expect big things. And then he was also able to qualify in the 4x4. He was a regional qualifier in the 300 hurdles, but we chose not to run it because in finals, because we wanted to make sure he was able to run hard enough in the 4x4. So a little bit of sacrifice on his part of an individual event to advance a team, which was it's a great move. And Mo is also continuing to advance his season. We're running with the Strongsville Track Club. He qualified in the 110 hurdles, the 400-meter hurdles, an event that the high school in Ohio does not have, and high jump. So he's going to be competing in Lima this weekend as well. So congratulations, Mo. And one more, I know I'm talking long, but you know, some of these guys, I think they really deserve it. Cameron Davis is not here. He's our senior this year, was a leader, demonstrated it all season. He was a qualifier in the open 4 and 4x4 relay. He ended up placing 6th at the state meet in the 400, bested his time when he needed to at the end of the year. He was voted as the MVP by the coaches at the Berea Relays. He was also unanimously voted the conference MVP from his performances in each of his events for the GCC, so he's the GCC MVP. And then he also earned that honor for the 2017 Strongsville track and field team. He managed to rack up about 200 points this year. He was a part of 2 school records with the 4x2 and the sprint medley. Had been a part of numerous events, including the conference and district championship 4x4 and 4x2 relays. Conference champ in the 400, and he also ran the Open 2 and the Open 1 throughout the season. And he was also our best 800-meter runner for this season. So pretty impressive. He was a scholar athlete as well, and he's going to continue his career at the University of Cincinnati as a walk-on. He hit the qualifying time at the regional finals, so he's able now to walk on at Cincinnati, something that he had been trying to do all season. So congratulations to Cameron, and congratulations to these guys. Thanks.
Good job. Great job. Congratulations. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Sir?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Good luck. Thanks for your passion for the sport.
Mr. Ryba, we have one more recognition for athletics, and it's my privilege to bring back to the podium. We already met him once tonight, and I think we've met him at a couple other board meetings this year for other recognitions. Now alum Zach Delicio and assistant lacrosse coach Rick McLean. Zach Delicio was recognized this year by the United States Lacrosse Association as an academic All-American. This award was only presented to 15 lacrosse players in the North Coast section, which is where Ohio is. And Zach is only one of 2 players in the GCC to have received the Academic All-American Award, one of the best conferences in the state of Ohio. So we're very proud of Zach. To tell us more about Zach's season is our assistant coach, Rick McLean. Unfortunately, our head coach, George Mueller, can't be here tonight. Coach Mueller suffered a tragic cardiac incident while on vacation in Michigan approximately, I think, about 3 weeks ago, and he's recovering. And Zach is also helping lead that recovery effort. Excuse me. So I'm going to introduce Rick, and then I'll have Zach mention a quick update on Coach Mueller. Coach McLean.
A couple of things have already been said about Coach Mueller. I'm here as his replacement only for tonight. He He again had a heart attack 3 weeks ago. He's slowly recovering. We'd really appreciate prayers for him. Zach has tremendous number of honors, as you guys have already heard tonight. I will go over some, maybe not even all of his lacrosse honors. He was first team all conference, first team all region, all state honorable mention, academic all-American, outstanding leadership award, 4-year lacrosse varsity letter winner, 3-year captain, 2-time MVP, and also won a Scholar Athlete Award. And that doesn't even really tell the whole story about Zach. He was really so important to our team. Coach Muller used to often say, Zach took the team on his back and led them to victory. And we did that more times than any other team in Strongsville lacrosse history, 11 wins this year. He not only helped the team on the field, but he helped the team off the field, helping Coach Muller and I coach the team, literally getting out there and coaching, helping us during practice. We sometimes only give lip service to the term student athlete. But Zach is the epitome of a student athlete. Lacrosse, more than most sports, is the venue to showcase this young man's intellect and athletic ability. The 55 players on our team, Coach Muller and I, would personally like to thank the board for providing funds for our sport. Thank you. Zach?
Thank you guys again. I just want to give a quick update on Coach George Mueller. As it has already been said, he suffered a severe heart attack while on vacation and made it out of the first hospital. He's now at University Hospital, and he's actually doing very well. I went and visited him the other day. He's going through, I think, 3 rounds of therapy a day. And, he's probably the toughest guy I know. So if there's anyone that can, get through this, it's him. But, I would just ask for all of your prayers and support for Coach George. Thank you.
Great job. Good job. Thank you, Coach.
Congratulations.
And for our final recognition tonight, I would ask Mr. Tomino, Strongsville High School Assistant Principal, to come to the podium one more time.
Mr. Ryba, just a minute, Brian, if you could. I just wanted to make a comment on the lacrosse program. 4 years ago, when we were approached by the local lacrosse organizations, and there was pushback. We'll say that for the board. There was pushback from some folks who were naysayers, and the Ohio Association hadn't made it an official high school sport yet, and everything else. But we had a lot of passion in the community for that sport. A lot of us had personal experience where in college, lacrosse was a great development sport for the young athletes. And so we said, no, we're going to go ahead and do it, and Strongsville's going to have a program. And I'm really, really glad to see how well the program's worked out and to see young leaders like Zach develop in that program. He'll take those skills with him the rest of his life, and that's a good thing. Well said.
Well, good evening again. On behalf of Mrs. Green and the Curriculum Department, I'm really excited to be able to present this recognition tonight as well. I would like to introduce to you Ms. Jamie Bollinger, who is a program manager for Ohio College Tech Prep at Cuyahoga Community College. Jamie, would you join me at the podium, please? So 3 years ago, when I took on the assignment of assistant principal at Strongsville High School, I inherited the vocational division. And we were behind times, and Jamie has been so instrumental in helping us modernize our program. We've worked on curriculum. She's come in and met with our teachers. We are getting money for our family and consumer science program, 7 through 12, because of her assistance. We revamped our marketing program to get more money and developed 4 courses that Jessica Frenchik teaches through online and in class with Jamie's assistance. Just this past semester, she allocated monies for our family and consumer science program. $3,000 came from Cuyahoga Community College to help us buy books and materials to better prepare our students for the web exams. She met with our industrial arts teachers, even though they're not technically career tech, to help them understand what's going out in the field out there to help them better prepare students. She's been invaluable to us with our paperwork for the state. I can go on and on. How much I've appreciated, and I know Erin has as well, all that she's done to help us modernize that division and really make it, I think, a very strong program for a comprehensive high school. I think we have a very strong career tech program, and I thank her for part of that. So it is my pleasure to congratulate you and thank you for all of the service you've given to Strongsville City Schools on behalf of our students. Thank you.
Thank you for all your help.
Thanks for helping the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Once again, thank you to all of our presenters, all of our coaches, and all of our students that have accomplished so much and duly recognized tonight at tonight's board meeting. And with that, that ends our recognitions for this evening.
Thank you. You want to move on to the superintendent's report?
Before we do that, it looks like the rain has stopped, so for those of you that want to go enjoy the rest of your summer night, why don't you make a break for it now? Thank you for being here.
Taking aerobics credit for ups and downs.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to switch the order.
Yep, I told him no comment.
I didn't call him back.
All about our contracts.
Yeah.
He emailed George and I like 30 questions.
Yeah, I said,
You don't have to. Screw 'em.
screw it. Yeah, he pounced all.
Tell him you've been instructed by the board not to answer any of his questions.
We can invite him in, let him keep us now.
Mr. Naso, at this time, if it's okay, we have 2 administrative contracts for your consideration, and some of those I think have young children that they're trying to wrangle in. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask Ms. Pelko to go to the podium to introduce them before their kids really go past their bedtime.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Good evening. Megan and John, if you could come join me up here. You can bring your daughter, Megan. So I'm truly honored to be able to introduce our new coordinators of special education. We certainly did our due diligence seeking out the best candidates for these 2 positions, and I think we found them. As a matter of fact, I know we found them. Megan is joining Strongsville City Schools after serving in the Parma City School District as a special education supervisor since 2014. While in Parma, Megan supervised half of Parma's elementary buildings, while also supervising 7 non-public schools within the district. She supervised the scholarship students from the district and facilitated the preschool to school-age transitions. Prior to working in Parma, Megan worked in the Upper Arlington schools as a coordinator of elementary intervention, mild moderate middle school intervention specialist, and a moderate intensive intervention specialist for grades K through 3. Megan is slated to be the coordinator for Strongsville Early Learning Preschool, Chapman Elementary, and Sarrar Elementary. John Henry is joining Strongsville City Schools after also serving in the Parma City School District as a special education supervisor since 2012. While in Parma, John supervised over 600 students with disabilities at the high school, middle school, and elementary level. He implemented professional development on a district level to improve best practices and also developed action plans for the district to achieve clearance through the ODE selective review process. Prior to working in Parma, John also worked at Positive Education Program, and while working there, he was an assistant program coordinator and an intervention specialist. As an assistant program coordinator, he worked with literacy specialists to implement systematic reading programs and was a liaison with regional school districts. John will serve as our coordinator of special education for the middle school, Kinsner Elementary, Muraski Elementary, and Whitney Elementary. So please welcome to Strongsville Schools, Megan Surso and John Henry. We are ecstatic that they have chosen to bring their exceptional skills and talent to Strongsville.
Welcome aboard. Congratulations. Thank you. Welcome.
Beautiful.
Congratulations.
She's awesome. Congratulations.
Yep, exactly.
I love her shoes.
If I could also, Mr. Naso mention, we have Cassidy Arsenault here in the back. She is going to be a new intervention specialist here in our district as well. And she didn't have to attend tonight, but she is, so I have her further in the agenda. So I wanted to introduce her as well.
Well, bring her through.
Bring her on up.
Bring her on up. Cassidy, come on through.
Bring her on up.
She's not from Parma.
Yeah, she's not.
There's a couple more that are,
Yeah.
but not. She's from Strongsville.
Yeah.
Excellent, yeah.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming.
Congratulations.
Now you don't have to stay. So.
Yeah, you can go.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Back in the fold.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys.
All right, with that, I do have one discussion item, and that is Vicki Turner, our Director of Instructional Technology, is going to give us an update on the technology plan. Vicki?
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Got my phone. I was told I have 10 minutes. Set my timer, even though Dan Faust talked for about 25 when he did.
You get bonus points if you get it to 8.
This is really a highlight of our year. Our tech department has been fantastic. They've worked really hard. They're very dedicated to the students and staff and Strongsville. So just have a few things, but I'm going to go really quickly, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Take your time, Vicki.
In regard to Chromebooks, we purchased a little over 1,500 Chromebooks. We insured ourselves. We had about 310 families opt for the insurance. We collected a little over $5,600, and we had 6 repairs that we were charged, and that cost about $368. So we're in a very good spot for our first year. And we know that's going to be a buffer for us because as we go through the years, that's going to grow. But we also enrolled Chromebooks ourselves this year and saved $7 per device. And we also did a lot of in-house repairs. So you see this picture over here on the right where my mouse is. That's our tech department meeting. We have a monthly meeting, and we spent it talking but also working on Chromebooks. And we did a lot of that so we could save money for makerspace for our students.
Vicki?
Yes.
$7 per Chromebook. How many Chromebooks?
Well, every one that we used to buy, so 1,500 Chromebooks this year. But we've always.
I think it's important everybody understands that adds
yes.
up.
Mm-hmm. So it takes us a little bit of time to do that, but it's well worth it. Elementary projector project, we are finishing up. That's been a lot of work, very time consuming. In the middle here, you see there's a board right here. We had a lot of old warped boards. So the time consuming part is that they've had to cut through chalkboards to fit the new steel boards that we buy that are much better and will last. So we've done training on our Epson projectors. We've piloted different projectors. In this bottom right, I have, there's a picture that's Jake Miller from Orange City Schools. He came to visit to look at our projectors because Orange wanted to get them also. We also purchased and implemented a software program called GradeCam. This was a voluntary program for teachers to help them with their assessments. We have 109 teachers who, basically by word of mouth, because they liked it and they kept sharing that information, and we had quite a few trainings, and they've scanned over 72,000 assessment pieces, formative and summative assessment. We continued.
I'm sorry, before
Yes.
you go on, the nice thing about GradeCam is it not only scans it, it gives the kids instantaneous feedback. So if you put it under a document camera, they can see right away how they did. And from an educator perspective, it does an automatic item analysis. So as a teacher, as a department, we can look through and we can see, okay, question 3, the answer was B, and 80% of our kids answered C. How do we go back and look at instructionally, how do we reteach that? How do we look at that concept? So it takes what Vicki and I and Jenny used to do by hand, going through hundreds of tests, and instantaneously builds these reports for departments to work on. So it's been a great advantage to our teachers collaborating together.
Thank you. It's also an app on your phone, so teachers can walk around with their phone. It also works on the Chromebook, anywhere there's a webcam. So you can turn a Chromebook around and kids come up, they scan their own test, they see their score, and then they can go back and work on those pieces.
Is there any way to provide that information to the student? Because I know as we go to more automated testing, you know, my daughter will get a B or whatever. She's got straight A's. Second semester, very proud of her. But, you know, sometimes she won't do quite as well on a test as she expected, and she doesn't really have an answer. She knows what she might have struggled with, but there's any way to use this to then give the students feedback and say, listen, you missed these 2 concepts repeatedly, so that, because then when the final, the midterm comes up, she knows what to study.
Well, as always, that would be something the teachers would do in the classroom. This is showing just their score. There is a student portal that we haven't purchased yet. That might be next as we look at that. But for some tests, for test validity, the teachers will show that in the classroom, what they missed.
Okay.
But that is something that that's a great question we have talked about because of all that online testing. How do we give kids and parents access, excuse me, to those assessments? So we've, at the middle school this year, we've come up with, you know, some procedures to help support that. High school, it typically hasn't been as much of an issue, but that is something that we're continuing to work on because we're going to see an evolution of online tests becoming more prevalent. And like Vicki said, there are additional add-ons to GradeCam that we can purchase in the future should we see that be beneficial.
Is this an optional piece of software and opportunity for the teachers? Is it going to become something that's going to be more prevalent? I mean, what's the track with the software? Are we just letting the teachers use the ones that they want to use it, or I mean, how's it going right now?
At this point, it was voluntary, and we were piloting. And as I said, word of mouth, they started sharing, and then I'd get teachers who would email me and say, could you please put me on the program, because they all wanted to look at their data together. So we haven't said that this is a district thing that everybody has to use, but they have seen the benefit, and more are using it.
And one of the things we look at also is this, a GradeCam type of program is more beneficial for certain content areas. You know, mathematics, it works, but it's a little challenging because of all the formulas. And, you know, especially if you're doing extended written responses, there's workarounds to get that. So it works better in some content areas than others, but they're always evolving the product, and so it's not something that, and also we look at the grade level. You know, this is great for multiple choice assessments, but that's one type of question. So it's not something that we would really look at. I think what we have, some 5th grade, 4th and 5th grade teachers are using it, but in primary, it's not the best use of assessment tool for the kids.
They did just come out with presented their new feature, which is their AI feature. So their artificial intelligence is reading the handwriting now, so a student can put in a math problem and it's starting to read that. So we anticipate that getting better. We continued with year 2 with learning.com. We always tweak the curriculum. In the summer, I look it over and make any changes. I added the email at the bottom from the company. We had over 113,000 launches, and they commended us on our commitment to using the curriculum. And just a little reminder, learning.com is very extensive tech literacy. This is an example of just one lesson on cyberbullying. So there's a lot of great information that our students are getting through that piece. We went paperless this year, so all student registration was online, thanks to a lot of work by Teresa Williamson, and that was very successful. Makerspace is, of course, a big push of ours. Now I'm going to go over to our district website that is a work in progress. And I think I showed this before, but I want to highlight this donate piece. And George, we've talked about this coming year, especially as we start to put things in place and people can see what a makerspace is and really get an idea. We'll start working with the community more and more and getting business people involved, not only in donating things, but in donating their time and expertise. So we have a lot of forms for that. We're also working on the equipment piece. So all the different types of equipment that we have in the makerspace will have references here and activities.
Vicki, if you go back to your website, you want to explain to the board, because the Ozobots have been popular, and what that does and what kind of skill that's working on.
The Ozobots, they're a little robot. And this is a little newsletter I put together with more information. So they're great at all of the different levels. Basically, it's coding. So and the younger kids can use it because they use markers and they tell the Ozobot what to do. And then at the upper levels, there is an actual program. Let's see if I have a picture in there. I think I have it later in my presentation. So the upper level students can code using Blockly, and then they hold the Ozobot up to the screen. It flashes light, tells the little robot exactly what was coded, so they can kind of hack into the Ozobot. So it can be for older and younger students. As we get to one of our pictures, I'll talk about that a little bit more. We had our grant from GPD and then from SEF. Mr. Smithberger and I have been meeting, and Mr. Tomino, to talk about the high school makerspace. So we've got that money. We've got money from the tech department. We have money from the high school. So this summer, that is going to dramatically change. We did a lot of research on the makerspace to lay that foundation. Here's some of the Kinsner items. Kinsner was our pilot elementary, so by the end of next summer, we hope to have all the elementaries finished. This sign is their logo. Way off. Their sign, that's our new large format printer, which is currently housed right here. So the students created that, and we printed that out here. And then some of the items that went to Kinsner. This was through the SEF fund. This is all set up now. They were very excited. Kids, they've gotten emails from parents. Here are the Ozobots again, so you can see an example of Blockly. This is where you would code it online. You can use markers, though, and create these different paths. So it's a good introduction to robotics and coding, and the kids love it. George's son was in my office this week, and he was just eyeing it up and picking it up. Kim Scott has also said that her high school student, her seniors just loved it.
I was cleaning the basement.
As I said, we are going to start really seeking donations. The curriculum department they gave us all this stuff in a closet that's been sitting there, so the librarians went through it and separated it, took it to all of the schools. And you see Cameron there donating. We are also working on green screen, so every building will have a green screen. They'll have one that's a part of their makerspace, and then they'll have a mobile one that a teacher can take in the classroom with the pop-up green screen. So Rich Miltner has become the resident expert on green screen technology. He's learned a lot. He's sharing that with everyone. And you see the bottom at the LEAD conference, he and Jenny presented and had there's a very full session, a lot of other school districts wanting to learn about green screens. So we are going to have a Makerspace summer camp, and the items that you see there, I contacted Make, and they donated all of those items. And then I also contacted Office Depot, so they're going to give us some other items. And then we'll use some of our in-house stuff. So we will have different stations for the students, and this is a good way for us to see how they're interacting and present some lessons for them. These are some of the activities that we'll have at our Maker Camp. And then Strongsville, as I said, their makerspace is going to be big time. And they are the equipment, the things that we're looking at. So they will have an embroidery machine, they'll have a sewing machine, they'll have, can't see it here, but at the bottom over here is the machine to embroider hats. So that we're really looking at a place where students can prototype, where they can be an entrepreneur, where they can have an idea and then bring it to fruition. So we know Jessica Frenchick, Dan Hogan, Ted Hardaby, we have a number of teachers, Kim Craigs, who are already very excited that are going to be helping with these. What usually happens in a makerspace is when you have equipment like this, you have people who specialize, and we'll do like a badging system. So we'll have our experts, but then they'll train other people, and then once you're badged, that means you can use the equipment unsupervised. So once you've proven that you're able.
Vicki, are we including the shop teachers in this?
Yes, that's Dan and Ted.
Yeah, okay, and the metal shop and wood
Yep.
shop and all that.
So, yep, they're getting two machines also in their room. So these are the two 3D printers we purchased so far. That cabinet Dwayne Cook actually made. He went to eHovie. They let him use their template and their machine to cut it out, and then he brought it back and built it here. It's a very nice cabinet. So Kim Scott, her class, her math class, she used the 3D printers for a lesson. They had to calculate the cost. They had to design it. They had to learn the program. They had to work with scale. And these are some of the items that they created. And she said they were very, very excited, very motivated. So this was kind of nice to have it here. We'll probably keep some mobile because students like to go by and watch their stuff as it was being printed. But there'll also be some in the upper library.
Have we asked Polaris for any excess materials?
Well, Rich and I have been talking about how we can get Polaris more involved and how we can work with them. So we were planning a meeting to go to eHovie and see what they're doing out there. Again, this was something Kim had tweeted, her students working with the 3D printing and the Ozobots. So she was surprised with the Ozobots how much they enjoyed. She's like, even though they're seniors, they like coloring with the markers and doing that coding piece. So these are the items, some of the items we're getting for the high school. The bottom left, that is the large format printer we already have. It can print and it will cut out, so we can do clings for the windows. It can print on magnets, so we can do car magnets. It will print on fabric, so we can do some fabric printing. So that's a district, that's for the whole district. So again, Dan's been in our meeting, we'll train out, and then as people see a need, like for the Makerspace Camp, all the students will have little stickers with their names and different items on those. So then the top, you see the laser cutter engraver. That model right there is going to go in Dan Hogan's room. So he'll begin using it, and then we'll get a smaller version for the Makerspace that's up in the library, and then the CNC router on the right, and then the subtractive milling machine on the bottom right. We also have our first augmented reality. You saw the sandbox, and we went to a workshop and built that one, and then we are going to build our own in-house after that. So our goal is to have one in every building so that the students can use that. This is our first year with tech coaches. We had 14 tech coaches, 5 at the high school, 4 at the middle school, and 1 at every elementary. The coaches met with me once a month. We worked under the ISTE standards for coaches, so this was something we worked on in the beginning. We also worked under the framework of Ohio standards for the teaching profession, specifically Standard 3, which had to do with assessments. So, and then our main target was formative assessments for the teachers. So we used tech tools to help the teachers with formative assessments. So, and these were also, we focused on Google Forms, but these are some of the other tech tools that the tech coaches used and presented to the staff in their buildings. These are some of their comments at the end of the year. Basically, They love learning new technology themselves, and they like sharing with their colleagues. And some pictures. We attended conferences together. They presented. They did after-school presentations at their school. This middle one, they were kind of our guinea pigs for other things. So when Teresa Williamson was rolling out Power Teacher Pro, we had all the tech coaches learn it first, and then they took it back to their building. And then at the bottom is one of our tech committee meetings that we met once a month. Our last meeting was a video meeting. So one of our pushes next year is using our video cams to have more meetings between teachers, so they won't have to drive across the district, and also between teachers and other teachers in their classrooms, and then other districts and our students to have some activities that way. We did a lot of presenting this year, so this was like the year of presentations. The tech coaches presented, the tech department presented. There's some other. We also sent our tech folks to more conferences that were more geared towards hardwire informational technology as opposed to just instructional technology. So they learned a lot of great things there. This is where, when you see the picture of Kim Scott, this is where we watched elementary students playing with the Ozobots, and we were both like, oh, we have to have those. So she's always game, so she had her seniors use those. And then Mr. Tomino tweeted this picture of some of our tech coaches presenting at the LEAD conference. And then some of the other tech department presenting at the LEAD conference, and then Mark Ohm in the bottom right, who was also showcasing his fabulous musical talents with our keynote speaker. I presented quite a bit this year, more than ever in my life. Cameron called me the queen of presenters, which is really a good PR for our district. We learn a lot. Other districts come and visit us after we present. We also work with the curriculum department for online testing. We create tutorials, we create videos, we monitor the network. We are in every building, so the whole tech department basically helps out on testing day. So you can see I posted some of our, I always do a Google Hangout, so everyone messages back and forth, so we're in constant contact with each other. We launched the mobile app this year. We have our new fiber contract with AT&T, which we're in the process of going through right now. We gave a lot of tours. I think on my spreadsheet, and I know other people were giving tours, but I had 7 different schools that came to visit, including like Independence and North Royalton and Orange. We hosted a tech conference. Kevin Honeycutt was our keynote. We used Chartwells, and everybody raved about their fantastic food. And then just some pictures at the conference. And I just wanted to point out the admin support for the conference. Usually administrators don't get to go to conferences like teachers do. So a lot of administrators popped in. Brian, I didn't get your picture there, so I popped another one in there. Brian's always running around taking pictures of everybody and tweeting. So we appreciate that support. And then some other pictures. We had a lot of vendors there. So very successful conference, and we are looking forward to next school year. Questions, comments?
The only comment is wow, I guess. I mean, think where we were just 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We were like, I mean, it was
The dark ages.
It was the dark ages. It was ridiculous when we started this, and it's been a great effort, and thanks to the taxpayers for giving us the wherewithal to do it, and the community for participating, and quite frankly, your leadership for getting us where we are. Because I know you're a dynamo. I know you're always working, you're always thinking, and we're so appreciative here at this end. And I'll thank you for my daughter and all her friends and the entire board.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments.
I remember having a conversation with Rodwell from GPD, and he was saying, well, you guys really need to have a makerspace room in the new middle school. So the first thing I did is, Vicki, what's he talking about? And my daughter loves it. It's a creative space, for everybody that's in this room, everybody that's watching, if you know a business and they have textiles or paper or things that they may throw out, if you're at a garage sale and there's an erector set or cubes or things like that, it's an opportunity for a child just to use their imagination. And my daughter brings me stuff home almost every day from Kinsner. But it's just an opportunity for them to get away from a book and to build something, to draw something, to design something or something like that. And so firsthand I see the value in the room itself and the time and the effort. So again, I encourage everybody, help feed and support those rooms by talking to businesses. If your neighbor next door's got a garage sale and they got some kids, erector sets and stuff, just grab them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. And Vicki's being modest. She said she presented a lot. She presented 15 times this year, which I think Jenny and I did one.
Yeah.
And that was a lot. Yeah. Doesn't sound so exciting now, but I know how much work and effort it puts in to do those presentations, and she's been just a great promoter of our school district and the good work we're doing, so appreciate her efforts there. And that ends the superintendent's report to the community.
That brings us to public comment. I don't have any. Approval of minutes. We have the minutes for the May 4th, May 23rd, and June 1st meeting, all up for approval. Do I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Duke. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Jane. Any comments? George, take roll.
Cronovitz?
yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Naso.
Got the entire alphabet here, George.
Yeah, I have quite a few items tonight for your consideration. A lot of them is attributable, most of them are routine annual items that are attributable to fiscal year end and fiscal year open for the next fiscal year. The first item that I have is the financial report for month ending May 31st, which can be found in Exhibit A. And then I also have my usual presentation that goes along with it. I'm going to be brief in the beginning part of it, which is the routine monthly stuff that I give. Tomorrow's the last day of the fiscal year, so this is as of May, so a lot happened over the year. But at the end, I also have Rob Showalter, my assistant treasurer. I'm going to have him present our recap on our investment strategy for this year and the interest income that we received. And then also yesterday, the Senate and the House approved the state budget, so I'll give a brief update on that as well at the end. So I'm going to head to the podium. So as mentioned, this is as of May 31st. Tomorrow is the last day of the fiscal year for June 30th. So what I'm planning on doing is, in August, I will give a, like I did last year, a summary on how we did for the fiscal year. But overall, we did pretty good this year. Our revenues came in on track, a little bit better, and we finished the year. We're going to finish the year under budget. So that budget savings will carry over to future years. That will help us offset the loss of revenue that we're going to be getting in future years as well. So a little bit of a savings this year to help out in future years. District goals falls under financial prudence. General fund summary. It's just a snapshot of year-to-date and the month of May this year compared to last year. Revenues and expenses, as I mentioned, are on track at that point as of May at this point in time. Our revenues, when was it, in April, in May last month, I presented the 5-year forecast. At that time, I was forecasting that we received about $73.1 million in revenue. Through May, we received 71.2, leaving a projected revenue for June about 1.3. That came in on track. The only thing that hasn't come in, and it's more of a timing, it's going to come in next month, is the tuition from other districts for the court place students. And typically that comes in June. What happened this year is ODE went from a paper reporting process to an online portal. Their online portal was delayed getting open, so it pushed all the deadlines back a little bit. So we're just going to get the revenue for this year in July, which will be next fiscal year, so it's just going to carry over. But other than that, all revenues are coming in track, and I'm still estimating that same amount that we'll get for tuition. Revenues by category, as you can see, taxes were slightly higher, but that was for reasons that I've talked about in previous board meetings, where it's just more of a timing issue versus when collections are sent to the county from a fiscal year to a calendar year purposes. State foundation looks like it's a little bit higher in previous years. It's because of the TPP offset that they just put as part of the foundation, which was going to be going away after this year. And then the state property allocation, which is less than previous years because of the TPP that the state took away. General fund expenditures through May represented 11 months, and through May we also had 22.24 payrolls. Both give a benchmark of the budget of 91.67%. At the end of May, we had expenditures and outstanding encumbrances, which totaled about 86% of the budget being used. This trend continued through June, and as mentioned, we're going to finish the year under budget. Moving into expenditures through May, as you can see, our biggest expenditure, salaries and benefits, it's pretty consistent from the previous 2 years. Purchase services is slightly down in the percentage of spent, but that's more due to when goods and services, the timing of when goods or services are needed. Capital outlay is slightly higher spent from previous years, and that's because of all the stuff that Vicki just presented. We added money to the tech budget, which, as you saw, Vicki's been spending. And then the next graph is just the comparative to the salaries to dollar, or the different categories, dollar amounts, and you can see from previous years it's right in line to what we've been spending. And just to wrap it up for this section is, we started the year with 18.3 million. Total revenues through May, we received 72.2 million. Total expenses, 62.4 million. Our revenues over expenses through May, 10.7. I know that's a little high for May. It might seem a little high for May. That's because of all our revenues been received. The 1 million that we're receiving in June is a small percentage of revenues compared to what we get for the whole year, which gives us an ending cash reserve of 29.2 million in the general fund, encumbrances of 2 million, leaving an unencumbered balance of 27.2 million. As you can see on the chart on the right, we're well above our 60-day benchmark reserve in cash balance, which it's giving us some money to invest. Where I'm going to turn it over to Rob, where I'm excited about these next few slides, where we're talking about our fiscal year 17 and our investment strategy and the amount of interest revenue that we received this year. As you will see, that we had a great year in that area. So, Rob,
thanks, George. Good evening, board. I'm also excited to present this information to you guys for the fiscal year 17 interest earnings for the district. If you recall, at this time last year, we decided to sign up with Meter Investments to provide our investment management services. At that time, George and I sat down and we categorized our cash into 3 tiers. The first being liquid cash is the cash that we need for our current operations, and we keep that at U.S. Bank. Our second is our intermediate or our short-term cash. We need that within 1 to 6 months, and we are investing that with Star Ohio. And our third is the long-term cash. It's the cash that we don't need for over 6 months from now. We're investing that with Meter Investments. The next table here, these are our average monthly bank balances for the past 3 years. The top half is shown in dollar values, while the bottom half is shown as a percentage of the total. Overall, we're fortunate to have an increased amount of total cash on hand available for investing in FY17. Also in the past, we were keeping around 35% of our cash in Star Ohio Plus. Note that at the beginning of FY17, we moved all of that money out of Star Ohio Plus and reinvested it with funds that have a better rate of return. This, coupled with the 3-tiered strategy of investing that George and I came up with, allowed us to invest almost half of our cash with Meter Investments. The results were greatly successful. If you take anything away from this presentation, take this slide right here. This is my favorite slide. It shows that our total interest income, net of any bank charges, increased from $43,000 in FY16 to to $156,000 in FY17. This is an increase of approximately $113,000 in interest revenue generated for the district.
Let's see that one more time.
Let me bring it back.
That thing's beautiful.
Tweet that out.
Congratulations. Yeah, get that out there. Nice job.
This next slide here, this breaks down the total amounts of interest earned by the bank, shown in dollars in the top half again and percentages of the total in the bottom half. Note that we decided to just take the hit at U.S. Bank on the bank fees, and because we can make a better return on our investment if we just take that cash out of there that we would normally keep to offset those bank fees and keep it in either Star Ohio or with Meter. Also note that Meter was the best performing investment, earning 0.62%, with Star Ohio close behind, earning 0.59%. That's the average rate of return over the last year. The one for Star Ohio, the 0.59, that's a 10-year high for them, which resulted in great returns, not only on our long-term investments, but also our intermediate investments. This one here is the breakdown of only our Meter portfolio for our long-term cash. We're keeping 44% in commercial paper, 35% in FDIC insured investments, and 21% in U.S. agency investments. Of the total, 44% of our funds will mature in 1 year or less, while 56% will mature in 1 to 2 years. With that, are there any questions for myself or for George on the investments?
Just thank you, and I think it's an incredible job. I think two things to take away from. One, we actually have money to invest.
Yes.
Right? So that shows financial prudence as those. I remember coming onto the board 6 years ago, and we were looking at a similar amount of what we have invested. We thought we'd be in the red a year or two out, right? So it looked pretty bleak, and we've as a administration and you guys and as board, as a community, they stood behind us, and we've turned that tide around. But pretty incredible.
We have money now to
I-
invest. Thanks
Yeah.
to Kasich and Columbus, we won't have that for very long, but that's coming up, I guess.
Softball.
Thanks, guys.
Of course it was.
Good job,
Gotta
Rob.
take that one.
Yeah, I just want to commend Rob on the job he's done managing these three bank accounts. I rely on Rob to look where our balances are and to move money where it needs to go to keep our balance to keep the money where we need it in order to get a good, better return for our buck. So moving into the next topic, not exciting as the interest, but it's the state budget. Yesterday, the House and the Senate got together in their legislative committee to review the Senate's budget and get to a budget where they approved to propose to the governor, which I believe he has to act on by tomorrow, June 30th. Just a recap of.
If he's not running around bashing the president somewhere, maybe he'll come back into town and sign it.
Just to give a reference point, the governor's initial budget, how it impacted us was that TPP elimination was all to be eliminated, 3.1 million, or all of it, 3.1 million next fiscal year, and then also from our funding formula, he was reducing the guarantee amount. What they were looking was going back 5 years and look at enrollment drop, and for any enrollment decrease above 5%, they would start reducing 1% of your enrollment that you had above 1%, capping it out at 5%. For us during that time frame, there was 20% enrollment decline, so we would have got hit with the entire 5% decrease in guarantee funding, leaving a total 1 year reduction in revenue of $3.5 million. In fiscal year 19, that would just carry over, so it would give us a 2 year accumulated loss in the life of his 2 year budget of $7.1 million. The Senate's budget, which was confirmed yesterday with the House, what they did, the changes that they had was they phased out, they still phased out the TPP, the $3.1 million, but they phased it off in 2 years. About 75% of it will be eliminated next year. Then the following 25% will be eliminated in fiscal year 19. And then they also changed for the funding formula. the going back period for the enrollment decline. So rather than going back 5 years, they're only going back 2 years. And for us, the 2 years that they're looking at for this purposes for the simulations was 16 to 14. For us, that was a 6% decrease. So that would represent a 1%, a little over a 1% loss in guaranteed funding. It's unclear if they're going to stay with that 16 to 14%, because if they look at this fiscal year to fiscal year 15, that 2 year period, we were under 5%. So depending on what 2 years they look at, the way that funding guarantee might change. But nonetheless, given the 2 year impact of this budget is, for us, it would be, in total, we would lose 5.7 million. Although the budget that's being proposed for the governors to act on is better than the governor's budget, it's still disappointing that the entire TPP is going to be eliminated. And for us, it's going to be an annual hit of close to $3 million each year. And, yeah, it's just disappointing, especially when there was about $100 million added to education in general, where it's being distributed while we're one of the districts that's losing money out of it. So I believe he has to act on it tomorrow, so either he approves what's been presented or he vetoes it and his budget goes into effect. So I think we'll find out tomorrow which action will be taken. So
he can line item veto also, right? Certain
I believe so.
things in there.
There he got his slice.
I know. Yeah, I mean, for me and for the folks that are watching out there, this is just the height of buffoonery in Columbus, and we should not be happy about this. Like George said, they've added $200 million to education. They've been whining about not collecting enough taxes. This year they're behind in collecting, and that's because they screwed up with the CAT tax, the corporate tax, instead of the TPP relief that we were getting. And you know, the one thing is that we don't want to short is our kids and their future and the educational opportunities that we provide for them. One of the things that I've always felt, and I think my fellow board members feel too, is that we want to give our kids in Strongsville the very best education we can afford. And it doesn't help a district like Strongsville, whose taxpayers are already giving a good amount of money for our schools, and they send an awful lot of money to Columbus in taxes, that we don't get our fair share back. And that's what's happening here. Money is going to failing districts and districts that can't get their act together. You've heard what Ms. Turner said tonight. You've heard all the wonderful accomplishments of many of our student athletes and our teachers and our PTA. We have a district that has its act together, and we're being penalized. So I would ask you, the next time you see your state representative, you know, Mr. Patton or Matt Dolan, let them know how you feel. I mean, Mr. Dolan came through a little bit with the Senate budget if the governor, the great governor, doesn't veto it. But, you know, they were unable to do what they should have done and make this fair and equitable, nor were they able to fix school funding in general. So it's a great failure on the part of our legislature. It's a great failure on the part of our governor. And we're the people, we're supposed to have the power as the people. So let them know.
I'll get on my soapbox for one quick second. We're under budget. We save our money. We've generated more revenue through proper management of our funds, and more of our money is going next door. We do our jobs right. We have the right people in place to manage it. We self-fund. We haven't come back to our taxpayers in over a decade. And the imbeciles in Columbus decide that they're going to take money from us, not for the first time, but again. Again. So we work so hard to run our district the right way, and the people who can't run their districts, they get more money. We pay out as a community a large amount of money, and Richard had the numbers at one point. How much money we send down to Columbus and how much we get back. How much money Cleveland sends in and they get back. It's a shame. It's a massive shame. for all the efforts that our administration, our teachers, our volunteers, and everybody else puts in these districts to get smacked in the face by Columbus. Shame.
There's no further questions or comments. That concludes this part. Now, I'm going to go back in the rest of the agenda. Item B, approval of new fund for fiscal year 17. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the following new fund for FY 17 be approved. Fund 014-9007 for the makerspace camps. That's to collect the, just any money coming in for those makerspace camps that Vicky was mentioning earlier. Approval of new funds for fiscal year 18, which can be found in Exhibit B. A lot of these are routine. As the grant year rolls over to a new fiscal year, we need to create a new SEC for it or fund. And then also, there's one for the upcoming freshman class. Exhibit C is student activity programs, uniform school supplies, public school support, internal Rotary funds, and local grants proposed for budgets for fiscal year 18. These budgets can be found in Exhibit C. Grant approvals, we have two, one for fiscal year 17 and one for fiscal year 18 from the same organization. And this is, again, for archery, $500 each, where to replace their supplies, mainly, I believe, arrows. Transfer of funds, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the transfer of funds be approved as listed in Exhibit D. It's general fund transfers that cover negative balances. General fund savings for turf, transfer to the turf fund. In fiscal year 17, excellence and athletic receipts transferred back to the elementary construction budget that was received this year. Fiscal year item G, fiscal year 17, amended appropriations. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the amended permanent appropriations for fiscal year 17 be approved, which are found in Exhibit E. Item H, fiscal year 18, temporary appropriations. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the temporary appropriations for fiscal year 18 be approved, which are found in Exhibit F. The state lets us do a temporary budget through October 1st, where we have to have an approved annual budget. I plan on presenting that at the September meeting. Item I, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the board authorizes the treasurer to invest up to a maximum of 40% of the district's interim funds and commercial paper notes in accordance with board policy 6144 investments.
George,
Yes.
that 40%, didn't your slide show the commercial paper was at 44%?
Yes, what that slide is just the funds in meter. So
Okay.
that's 44%
Oh,
of
okay,
their
that's just
portfolio
meter.
of the 20 million. So of the entire 40 million, it can only be 40% of that, so it's about 22%
Okay,
that we have in commercial paper.
thought I caught you.
Yep. And then the last one is not on the consent calendar. Item J, food service management company contract. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the treasurer that the contract between Strongsville City Schools and Compass Group USA by through its Chartwell's division for the management of district's food service program be renewed effective July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, which could be found in Exhibit G.
And item J,
So moved.
thank you, Duke. Second,
Second.
thank you, George. Comment? Richard?
So I think it's incumbent on us to mention this contract in comparison to what's happening with the state budget is all the more important that we redouble our efforts. I happened to be reading George's budget book earlier this week and was reviewing the comments about why we were going to Chartwell's, and it was to reduce and eliminate the subsidy from the general fund to food services. We still have work to do. I'm in support of one more year, but we do need to redouble our efforts and make substantial progress in that year. You know, the one thing I think about is currently we have our taxpayers paying their taxes, and that tax money goes into our general fund, and we are now taking some of that money and putting it into our food services instead of that food services maintaining itself and being self-sufficient. So it's, you know, it's something to think about, that there are parents and there are taxpayers that are paying for food and for lunches because we're not self-sufficient. So I know all my board members agree we need to redouble our efforts. I'm looking forward to having Mr. Breckner as our new operations manager, and I'm sure this will be one of his number one priorities to get a hold of this and to accomplish the goal, which is to eliminate the subsidy.
That's true, but let's not forget where we came from. The general fund was putting about $500,000 towards the food services, and while we had a bad year with the start of it, as everybody knows here, we're gonna have a better year this coming year, and Chartwell's is committed to doing a better job. So I just don't want us to lose sight of where we were before we had Chartwell's come on board.
200,000? Okay. Our current subsidy is 200,000, so it's 300,000 better than.
That's right.
And that 200 is before the contractual repayments that they've made based on where they said, because they have
guaranteed.
they've got
It's
skin in the
after.
yeah, they got skin in the game on that.
It's after.
It's after.
The number's like 135 on the net after the adjustments for snow days and everything else. But any event, Richard's comments are spot on. We got to redouble our efforts. The reason we went in was to get to even, and we're not at even yet, so we have to continue to push. We're significantly better than we were, and the second half of the year was significantly better than the first half of the year. So the trend is very encouraging, and it's the reason why we're willing to give them another shot. But they got to deliver, and it's very important. The food quality is much better. The deficit's much better, but it isn't where we said we were going to be, and it isn't where they said they were going to be. So we're, startup years are kind of tumultuous, and we're hoping that now, as they got a better understanding of how things work, we're going to work through it. But we're going to be on them, and Rob and George are going to keep on them, and we're going to keep watching the whole thing. So, any other comments? No. Take a vote.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Motion passes. And that concludes my report.
Back to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Naso. Before I get to the agenda items, just a reminder that the district will be closed for honoring the 4th of July holiday on Tuesday. We will be open on Monday, but it will be a skeleton crew that will be, at best, that'll be working on Monday. Under timely information, these are annual updates. We have the contingency calendar. Should we go beyond our allowable school hours to call off for the state-approved reasons, June 7th, 8th, 11th through the 13th would be our make-up days. Also under number 2, for your consideration is the Calamity Day Alternative Makeup Plan, which is in Exhibit H. Half-day kindergarten is the only grade level in our district that is close on the hour requirements. And what this says is, should we go beyond the hours, we would first be able to use blizzard bags, as they're known to make up some of those hours, like we did a few years ago. And under number 3 is the annual membership to the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 2017-18 school year. And that concludes timely information, unless there's questions.
Nope.
Okay, moving on to business services. We have a pupil transportation agreement found in Exhibit I. This is to work with the Suburban Transportation Company for the 17-18 school year, and that is due to the impracticality of transporting certain students by regular bus transportation. Under 2, again, an annual item is to cover our Strongsville City Schools affiliated groups, that the operation manager be authorized to purchase insurance for a 1-year contract price of $283,977 from July 1st, 17 to 18, which includes the school groups listed below, and that is a slight reduction from what the cost was last year, and that can be found in Exhibit J. Moving on to the next page, we have transportation of non-public students. Be it resolved, the recommendation that we declare Menlo Park Academy and Jenna and Leah Lusk transportation by school bus impractical. And be it further resolved that the board provide payment in lieu of for those students attending Menlo Park, and the reimbursement will be based on the amount allotted by the state. And finally, number 4, Mr. and Mrs. Russ donated an 8-inch Craftsman table saw valued at approximately $200 to the Strongsville High School Industrial Tech Department. And that concludes business services, unless there's questions under that report.
Nope.
Ms. Green could not be, she's with us tonight, she's on vacation, so we have a bunch of items in curriculum for your consideration tonight. Secondary English language arts novels that help support the curriculum as presented in Exhibit K. Ron Stewart and Associates, he provides guidance and support for all of our federal grants. That's a 1-year contract in Exhibit L. Moving on to number 3, that Admentum Solutions. This provides, as you remember, Mr. Breckner presented last year on the Strongsville Academy. This is the tech component that we pay Admentum Solutions, a cost of $135,384.74 to be utilized for Strongsville Academy for next school year. Ohio Online, that was our first online program. We are continuing to have some of those students go through that program so we don't have a disjointed curriculum for them. That we pay the student, or pays for the students to participate in the Ohio Online Learning Program through the ESC of Cuyahoga County at a cost of approximately $55,680 for the 17-18 school year. And as I know the board knows this, but just to state it, even though this is a cost to the district, it nets a savings to the district because those students stay in our district rather than transferring and taking their full $6,000 plus allotment to ECOT or other online platform schools. Under number 5, textbooks for College Credit Plus. As a school district, we pay for the textbooks for students participating in CCP through Cuyahoga Community College, and that's an approximate cost of $40,000 for next school year. Number 6 is approval of the 2017-18 student fees. Number 7 is approval of the Strongsville High School Athletic Handbook for the 17-18 school year. Under number 8, we have Bridget Kilbane, who will complete her field experience internship with Kelly Rose at the high school for the dates listed, and she is a BW student. We also have another student teacher placement of James Gates at the middle school, a music teacher to be placed with Renee Strong from the University of Akron for the dates listed. On number 10, going on, we have a variety of trips. We have the high school boys and girls cross country team camp that they'll attend an overnight camp August 6th through 10th at Lakeside Historic Village in Lakeside, Ohio. Transportation and costs will be paid by the participating students in fundraising. Under 11, we have the Strongsville High School girls soccer team, September 21st through the 24th. They will be traveling to Boston, Massachusetts to participate in a soccer competition. They'll be transported via commercial airline and chartered motor coach, and they'll be paid by students and with funds raised from the Adidas National Soccer Showcase. And also, high school boys and girls varsity cross-country teams that they travel to Rochester, New York, September 30th to October 1st for the McQuaid Invitational. They'll also tour the American side of the Niagara Falls, and transportation will be by motor coach, and expenses will be paid by the students through fundraising. And we do have 2 music trips coming up for next school year. The high school wind ensemble will be traveling to New York City on April 2nd and 5th. And as a former musician, performing in Carnegie Hall is a pretty cool thing for high school kids and any adult that never got to perform at Carnegie Hall either. So they'll have clinicians there to help do some sessions with them. So that's an exciting opportunity that Mr. King, our band director, put together for the kids. And then our choral students will also be traveling to New York City, April 11th to 15th. For performances there and clinics as well. And again, motor coach and expenses will be paid by the students through fundraising. And that concludes curriculum, if there's any questions. All right, with that, Director of Special Education, Andy Trujillo, has his student services report for this month. Andy?
Good evening, members of the board. I have 5 routine items for you this evening to consider. The first is an agreement with ASG Education Services that you enter into an agreement as they provide their LEAP program, which is an alternative placement option for students that are not being successful in Strongsville schools. Second is McKeon Education Group. This is an agreement for St. Joseph, St. John for 1 part-time intervention specialist to serve students with disabilities for $28,472.88, as seen in Exhibit N. Third is enter into an agreement with Solution Behavioral Consulting. They help consult with staff and work with students in the area of behavior intervention services, and that is Exhibit O. Number 4, we have a recommendation that we enter into an agreement with the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County to implement Positive Education Program Services, otherwise known as PEP, for the next school year. Lastly, we have a tuition-free admission for a foreign exchange student for next school year, and the name of that student is listed in item 5. Any questions?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Next is Assistant Superintendent Jenny Pelko with the Human Resource Report.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Good evening once again. Under E1, I have the following items for your consideration: with the resignation of Tanya Rogers for the summer orchestra camp, resignation of a certificated supplemental, Ryan Mester, assistant football coach, resignation of non-certificated supplemental, Leslie Zabo, assistant boys soccer coach, resignation of certificated supplemental, Jamie Bailey, for student council at Kinsner, and resignation of non-certificated supplemental, Mary Arpadone, student council at Kinsner. Continuing under E2, the following administrative appointments we introduced earlier: John Henry and Megan Surso for our two new special education coordinators. Continuing, we have the following appointments for our certificated staff. We have 1 appointment for a non-certificated substitute, an appointment for a certificated summer school teacher, an appointment for administrative supplemental contract under student services to Megan Surso, and a certificated supplemental contract for Julia Williams. We also have the following appointments for certificated supplemental contracts for our supplementals there, and non-certificated supplemental contracts. We have the appointments of certificated testing consultants, appointments for certificated supplemental contracts continued there. Those are our prorated supplementals. And then a non-certificated supplemental contract. In addition, I did have to add an addendum. Apologize for the late addition, but we missed one of our teachers, Molly Mason, who was hired early on for our business marketing teacher. So that is under E2 in your addendum. Under E3, I have a change in hours. Under E4, change in leadership. Mary Arpadone will now become the executive secretary to the Director of Instructional Technology. We have a change in status for certificated and change in status for non-certificated. We were able to recall some of our employees that were reduced in force. We have a change in status for non-certificated personnel. Under E5, we have the contract adjustment for our junior Air Force ROTC instructors. Under E6, we have a salary upgrade for certificated personnel. Under E7, we have our stipends for certificated extended school year personnel and stipends for our non-certificated extended school year personnel. And following that, stipends for our Jump Start program. Continuing, we have stipends for our technology coaches for the 17-18 school year and stipends for our webmasters. Under E8, 1 contract recommendation for certificated staff member, and then a continuing contract recommendation for non-certificated staff. Under E9, we have 1 unpaid medical leave for certificated and unpaid medical leaves for non-certificated. Under E10, a medical leave for administrative staff, medical leaves for certificated staff, and medical leaves for non-certificated staff. And under E11, I have a list of volunteer chaperones. And finishing up under E12, we have our service agreement with the McKeon Education Group for our auxiliary services for St. Joseph and John Interparochial School for therapy to school-age students. And under E13, we have our service agreement for Spanish First Class with St. Joseph and John Interparochial School for this program. And that concludes my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Nice job.
12 and 13, are they all paid for through grants, or are they out of our budget?
That, I believe that's where the money comes through us and we pay. The 12 and 13, the auxiliary services, the money, we just kind of control the money, it flows through us.
Yeah.
Correct.
The money's given to us by the state. We have to
Right.
account for it in a separate fund, and it's for the auxiliary services.
But it's
Right.
passed through.
It's passed through, yes.
Okay.
Right.
And last, we have Vicki Turner, Director of Instructional Technology, who has an item tonight for your consideration.
Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the purchase of makerspace equipment and supplies as listed in the exhibit not to exceed $54,197.29. That's it. That's what we've been scrimping and saving for, so we can purchase this for our students.
As long as we each get one of those robots.
We'll play with them at one of our board meetings.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vicki, and with that, that concludes my report.
All right, that brings us to item 11, report on Polaris.
Thank you, Mr. Naso. I'll just congratulate Chris and Brandon again for being national champions 2 years in a row. Hopefully the Cleveland Cavaliers will take a look at them and try to build on copying their success. I do want to highlight David Asmondi, who is a Strongsville High School senior. All of the programs at Polaris have some kind of competition or some kind of skills test. I use that phrase, learning in action. You do a lot of hands-on. The contests make it fun, they make it exciting, but the learning is baked in. David went to his competition. David is in the HVAC program at Polaris, and he placed 5th in the HVAC competition. It includes a series of testing stations designed to assess skills for HVAC. It's an industry standard. All of these competitions have alliances with the various industries representing them. So you're not only having fun, you're not only learning a lot, but you're making sure that it is valid for career after high school or after college. I just like robots, and I know Jocelyn and Stephanie aren't Strongsville students, but they are Polaris Career Center students. They happen to be Olmsted Falls High School seniors. We won't hold that against them, but they did, I want to give a shout out to them. They took first place in the robotics and automation competition just a week ago. It's the 4th straight year they've competed at nationals as state champions. During the event, they had to operate a 5-axis servo robot along with a set of sensors and motorized devices to resolve a simulated production process problem. But I do want to highlight, and if it's okay with Mr. Naso, I'm going to segue into my report on legislation. We already had our sobering update about what the state is doing to Strongsville's budget. I find it ironic, almost malicious. The purpose of getting rid of the tangible personal property tax and converting to a CAT tax was to help manufacturing in Ohio. It was designed as a policy to improve manufacturing's position in Ohio. I think it's ironic that schools like Polaris, schools like Strongsville, we are investing so much in these maker spaces, in these robotics, in these kinds of programs, because Strongsville and Northeast Ohio is a manufacturing hub. This is advanced manufacturing. This is the training that our students are going to need for the advanced manufacturing jobs that are in our neighborhood. And yet Columbus sees fit to take $3 million from our budget, which ties our hands behind our back even more. And it, you know, the irony should be evident that we're trying to incentivize manufacturing. We're trying to incentivize that kind of business, which is in the cities. And if you look at the state report for where the budget is being concentrated, the cities that are getting hurt are the Strongsvilles, are the Solons, are the Mayfields, are the Bereas, are the cities that have that manufacturing. I was gonna pass it on to Vicky, but General Motors just put out a $850,000 grant to incentivize STEM programs for girls, for young ladies, because they recognize that they're gonna need people who can do that advanced manufacturing, that can build our cars of the future, that are gonna be self-driving, that you're gonna need that technology. They realize their business depends on having trained, credible employees that understand that technology, yet it seems like Columbus and Franklin County doesn't seem to have the negative 20% budget cuts for their school districts. It's Cuyahoga County, it's Solon, it's Strongsville, it's Bay Village, it's Westlake. So again, it would be ironic, except it is malicious, and you reap what you sow. And eventually, these kinds of cuts and these kind of draconian cuts are going to have lasting impact on our students and on their job opportunities. So I would send Tom Patton and I would send Matt Dolan an email and let them know that this is a disinvestment. We talk about investing in the future. These kinds of cuts are disinvestments in our future. They are going to have consequences. They are going to be, you know, if these things aren't dealt with in a reasonable and fair manner, they are going to have lasting consequences. And I'll get off my soapbox.
Thank you, Richard. Excellent points. That brings us to the board liaison reports. City Council.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Naso. There were a couple city council meetings, and most notably, they passed an ordinance entering into a cooperative agreement with the cities of Middleburg Heights and Parma to resurface the remaining portion of Pearl Road. So it's going to start from the Turnpike Bridge all the way through Middleburg Heights into Parma. And Strongsville's portion is 13% of that project, whereas Middleburg Heights is 45% of the project, so they take the lead on overseeing everything. We would like them, of course, to start in Strongsville, but we don't have any control over where they start. So that will be coming down the pipe there. And the next city council meeting is, believe it or not, Monday, July 3rd. So if you have nothing else to do for the holiday, attend that. And there will be fireworks in Strongsville on the 4th of July in the industrial park, as always. So that's phenomenal show put on by all the business community, donations to the city for that. So have a very safe 4th of July on behalf of the city of Strongsville and our school system here. And then I'll just segue into PTA. We had our wonderful report for the 13,000 plus hours that our parents so generously devote of their time and talents to our district. And it makes our district all the more special having that engaged parent component of our district. So I look forward to working with Carrie Dewis in the next school year. So she has her work cut out for her. Laura was a very strong leader in the PTA. So that concludes my PTA report.
Student achievement?
Well, there is no school right now, but we had very significant student achievement demonstrated with the phenomenal, it just goes to show you our two top scholars. They never let up. They had obviously 4 years of phenomenal learning and growth, and just incredible. It blows my mind what I see our students are able to accomplish through our teachers and our families here. So just hopefully we'll have another strong showing next year, which I don't doubt.
I don't doubt. Strongsville Education Foundation.
Didn't meet in June.
Yeah. All right. Committees, Finance did not meet. That brings us to Policy Committee.
Mr. Naso, if I could, because I know this is the second reading, and I'd like to at least, I had some
You read
time
them.
to read every page of the policy book. Richard, I give you all the credit in the world. I have a couple things, a couple items that I'd like to at least talk about in public. One of the topics I want to talk about is regarding weapons in our buildings. And in my opinion, and like something that we should at least have a conversation about, is when there's a law enforcement officer, especially on the federal side of things, they're required to have their weapon when they're on and off duty. Our policies don't quite describe that. So my opinion is, if it's an on or off duty but currently employed officer who has the right to have a concealed carry weapon with them, either city, county, state, or federal, we shouldn't ask them to strip them of their weapon and keep it in their vehicles. I'm not quite sure how to phrase that or how to say that. I know the exceptions in policy A is weapons under the control of a law enforcement personnel. But I would like to say either on and off duty, or currently employed, just to tighten that up a little bit. I'm not quite sure to.
The Neola recommendations state that specifically. Ours just assumes it, but I think I agree with, I don't think, I know I agree with you, that it should be clearly stated. That's excellent.
And I'm not sure how, I'm leaning to both of you two to be able to craft that message.
So what I was gonna suggest, we had conversation about this, is we're gonna reach out to Charlie Goss, the safety director, make sure they have had a chance to take a look at it.
Mark Fender.
Mark Fender, thank you. I was trying to remember the name. But have Mark and Charlie take a look at it from the city, make sure they're comfortable with the language, and if they have any opinions to improve it, we would do that, and then we'll just do an addendum to tighten that language up. I think we're all in agreement that we want the safety forces to enhance the safety of our school buildings and our properties. So we'll bring that through a superintendent update. And then this is we're coming up to first reading, so we can addendum that before we adopt.
Okay. Just to be clear, though, this is our policy, not theirs.
That's
So
right.
we will seek their advice and we will seek their opinions, but in the end, it's our policy. And we'll put in our policy what we decide as a board to put in our policies. So I just want to make that clear.
So I'll continue to go, because this is my opportunity. Under the section of eligibility of residents and non-residents students, page 4 of 11, item J, it reads, any student who enrolls in the district under the district's open enrollment policy. We do not have an open enrollment policy, so I'd like to strike the word open on line J. Just if we want to clarify, or if we move to that point, I don't want someone to assume by reading that we do. So again, I'll ask both of you to craft that message, tighten it up to eliminate that. And then,
Before you go on, Mr. Grozen, I think,
Sure.
With Jay and looking at it, we do have an open enrollment policy, but the open enrollment policy says we don't allow open enrollment. So I agree, it is confusing because it looks as an exception to the rule. So my suggestion would be to the board that you just eliminate J altogether, strike that whole statement out of there. So open enrollment is not mentioned. It doesn't lead to any confusion about that discussion.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
okay. And then the last piece of it, and it's a little bit close, near and dear to my heart, but I think it's a conversation that we need to have. One of the changes in policy, and it's under purchases, page 1 of 9. I'll read it. Any and when the board determines to build, repair, enlarge, improve, or demolish a school building at the cost of which will exceed $50,000, it was $25,000 to $50,000, the business manager, operations manager shall obtain competitive bids. I at least want to bring it up because when we did the construction project, it was a $25,000 to the superintendent, $50,000 to the board. And that process worked really, really, really well because we didn't hamper the administration on getting things done. but I still want to give them the freedom to be able to make some decisions when they need to be able to be made. So I'm going to lean towards Cameron and George and Jenny at this point. I mean, I don't want to say that you guys can't go out and do things, but also don't want to leave so much rope that 20 years down the road we hurt ourselves. So I want your opinions, please.
Well, my opinion is this, the change was made because there was a change in the law that exceeded the limit there. Now, we can't go over that limit, but we do have the discretion to go under that limit and continue to say, hey, this worked for an $81 million bond project, it worked well. And I think, you know, as we've talked about in the policy committee, we want to make policy that's, you know, lives on beyond all of our times and is good policy for the district no matter who is in these seats. So I do not personally have a concern or an issue if the board so chooses to say, let's just keep it at 25,000, because that work, getting competitive bids is a good process to go through to make sure we're getting the best value. So from my perspective, and you know, I would defer to George too, he deals with this a lot. I don't have a problem with keeping, I don't see it hampering our process.
No, I think it's fine with our current purchases. It's that $25,000 limit. Anything over needs to come to board approval anyways.
Okay.
So
I thank you for that. It's just, going through these pieces, I wanted your guys' opinion on it. So, okay, thank you.
So the real question is how many times you fall asleep while you were reading that book?
It took me a few days to get through it, but I did, and so those are the only pieces I found. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Rosen.
We're getting close to my dream that policy is a committee of the whole all the time.
I'm trying, Richard. I'm trying.
Okay, facilities?
Our next meeting is August 24th here at the Administrative Building. We've had a couple months while we're waiting for Mr. Breckner to get his legs underneath him. And then we're going to grill him hard.
Excellent. That brings us to the consent calendar. I do have, we have an addendum, 10E2, that was added. There's an item 10B2, which is the insurance, that I need to recuse myself, so I think we have to have a separate vote. My sister works for Todd and Associates. She has nothing to do with our account, but I still just like to pull myself out of that one.
Todd or look? It was through,
I do believe it's Todd and Associates. That's where she works, but.
You can just recuse yourself from the consent calendar, because it makes no difference.
What is it?
No, he just recused himself of the one
It's on
item.
page 12.
The agent is Todd and Associates. It's Liberty Mutual's the insurance company, but the agent that it goes through is Todd and Associates. And I don't even know if I'm required to, but I just want to.
We'll just do a separate vote on that.
Yeah.
So do we?
So for all items, in the addendum in and 10B2 out, do I have I guess I should have waited till we had a motion, but, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, George. So we'll be voting on all items except 10B2. George, can you take a vote?
yes. Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes. No, we'll have to have a separate vote on 10B2.
No motion.
Thank you.
No, I didn't make one. I was reminding you needed.
Oh, I was like stunned that Richard made a motion.
Not that.
Oh, wow. Duke,
So moved.
thank you.
Second.
Duke. George, no further comment. Take roll.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
And Mr. Naso?
Abstain.
Motion passes. Got everyone right?
We've got the first reading of all the policies.
Jump the gun on that.
Anything you want to regale us with?
I don't think I can do a better job than George just did. I'm so tickled.
The ultimate compliment. We've read your policies. That brings us to the Board of Education Other. I have two items. One is just I want to remind everybody to keep Coach Mueller in their prayers. He's a strong guy, but he could certainly use all the help he can get. The second is a minor complaint about the honors program. Although I love the honors program, I think it's incredible. It always annoys me that every summer there's homework and additional reading, and I would like to know, do other districts for honors programs have homework over the summer? The students, we always talk about testing, stress, and all these other things, and then we get a summer break and we pile on the homework for the summer for the students. And I get it, they want to do better, we want them to test better, we want all the things that come out, but I just wonder, is that necessary? And how does it compare to other districts? So I'll leave it at that, and I'll look for a response.
Sure. Our high school and middle school have done a lot of research and fine-tuned the summer assignments, so, over the years. So I know Mr. Smithberger has his finger on the pulse of what's going on with honors summer work and making it meaningful. So in an upcoming report, I'll share that information with you.
Excellent, thank you.
It is meaningful.
I know it is. I know it is, but it's just, is it necessary?
It helps that when they get to school on the first day, they can start running, rather than, okay, everybody, take the next 2 weeks to read this book. They've already have the book read, so.
Yeah, but my son's not that happy about it, but
Well,
I agree.
the option is don't take the honors
That's
class.
all true, and it's great that we're giving them, all this extra stuff, but they're kids too, they need some time off.
They need a little downtime occasionally, but,
Well, I'd
and
like-
you could structure an honors class that didn't rely on the summertime to do it. You would just, I know
Well,
I could do it.
To change the subject, everybody have a great, wonderful 4th of July. Be safe, try not to blow your fingers off with fireworks or anything like that, so just be safe and everything else.
There was a recall out there today for some that are going off unexpectedly,
Excellent.
so.
Putting firecrackers.
Anybody else have any others?
Oh, I just wanted to say, I noticed that most of the fees decreased this year, so the parents should be happy. Their fee bills for next year should be lower
Oh,
than
excellent.
they've
Yeah,
had
they
in
did
the
a lot of
past.
good work, yeah.
So that's great work. Thank you so much.
Richard? Anything?
How much did Kirsten pay you?
We did make 2 of the books family reading, so we're all gonna read them and talk about them. So that'll be fun,
Executive
but,
Executive session?
meeting notices. We have a meeting, a work session on Monday, July 10th. It's the only July meeting, and it's on a Monday, I believe, right?
Correct,
So it's
yes.
a little different than normal. And then executive session, I have a motion. We
So
do have
moved.
need, thank you, Duke. Second,
Second.
thank you, Jane. We do have a take,
Yep, it's
I think it needs a
to review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning compensation and other matters.
all right. We have a vote?
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Enter an executive session 9:25.
Just a second addendum here, Carl, sorry. I wanted to commend Dan for the annual report that you sent out. I think that was a great effort and a really, really good information for the taxpayers in Strongsville. So thank you for doing that.
Yes, very well done.
Yeah, I had a comment about it today.
Oh,
at
that's
work.
okay, that's excellent.
I had a comment
All
about
right.
it today at work.
I don't believe we have any public business on the way out.
We need to vote on that.
We did.
On executive session?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, we voted.
Okay, we're done.
I think we're done.
We voted.
Happy 4th of July to everyone. There won't be any business when we resume, we won't resume public session.